UFC Fight Night, Kai Kara France versus Amir Albazi. Let's see what happens. Welcome back to the Green Means Go YouTube channel. It's your host, me. As always, thank you for being here. We've got a UFC fight night this Saturday, and to be honest, I'm not loving it. I'm not loving the card in terms of a betting perspective. I think there'll be some good fights. So I want to go through this, and I'm going to do this fairly quickly because I don't have a pick on every fight. And some of these videos are dragging on a little too long, so I'm trying to condense them a bit for you guys. So before we get into the picks today, I do want to go through last week. Last week it was actually a week off, so the week before that we had Mackenzie Dern and Angela Hill. We hit 2 bets, and we lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is awful. Again, this is something I'm doing for entertainment. I'm not calling myself a sharp, a UFC betting pro, but I am keeping record of everything so that at the end of, we'll say, a calendar year, we'll see how we're doing. So I'm very specific with the units I recommend for each. But again, we may have weeks like this. So if we look at last week, and I guess we can go here. So far, our method bets or our quarter unit bets are 2 and 10. We're still up a unit though because we've hit some monsters, 2 plus 700s. We're 4 and 4 on round bets, lost basically just the juice there, and our best bets are 12 and 15, down 2.6 units, which is bad. Okay, I'll admit that. So if you've tailed everything for the appropriate units, you're down 1.7 units, which after 4 weeks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks is really not horrible. So we'll keep pushing and we'll see what we can get to. This is a 13 fight card, 6 main fights, which is kind of not standard. Usually there's only 5. Saturday, like I said. So we'll start here. Maxime Grisham and Felipe Lins. I'm skipping this. My lean is Grisham. But very similar fighters. Both guys kind of older. I can't find an angle, so I am not even going to waste my time. So we're skipping that first fight on the prelim card. Lacerda and Blackshear went back and forth on this one, but it looked as if Lacerda's had better form recently and has fought a little bit tougher competition. So I'll go ahead and say that Lacerda moneyline minus 137 is a good spot. I also realize my AC unit is on and is probably making the mic sound hysterical. So I'll go ahead and shut that off for you guys so you don't have to listen to that. Third fight of the night would be Frey versus Reed, 2 women fighters. Both have been knocked out a combined 5 times, which is pretty interesting. I'm skipping this, though. I don't have an angle. Once again, my lean is Reed. But, if you want to get in on the action, that's the side I'd go to. But, again, I am going to skip that fight entirely. Santos and Munoz is incredible. This is where I started to really find my rhythm on this card, and this fight was where I said, okay, there is value in this play. So if you look at these guys, they are pretty aggressive fighters, combined 7 wins by knockout, 9 wins by submission, 6 wins by decisions. Look at their losses, though. Munoz has been knocked out 1 time, and otherwise their only losses are by decision. You can get over 1.5 rounds at minus 132, which I think is phenomenal value for these guys, especially when I see this discrepancy here. If Santos wants to stand and he wants to grapple, hopefully the first round is a feeling out process, and maybe Munoz shoots and maybe Santos is able to just keep the fight on the feet, and we just kind of see a slow first round trying to outpoint each other. So I do like over 1.5 at minus 132. Probably the best. Well, I won't say that yet. Okay. Andrei Arlovsky versus Dontel Mays. I was shocked, truly shocked that Arlovsky was an underdog on this. Yeah, he's old. Dontel Mays is not. Let's see how old. See how old Dontel Mays is before I lie to you guys. Dontel Mays is 31, so he's not young. Arlovsky's 44, so he is quite a bit older. But if you look at his last few fights, Yes, he loses in round one to a submission, and then he wins a decision, wins a decision, wins a decision, wins a decision against good competitive fighters, loses by submission, wins by decision, wins by decision. And this is all in the past 3 years. So, maybe he's susceptible to grappling in his old age. So maybe you want Mays by sub. But I do think if the fight goes the distance, and I believe over 2.5 rounds is like minus 195. So the books are really heavy on this fight going the distance. I think you see Arlovsky pulling this out. That's my prediction anyway. So I'm only going to go half unit on that, and that's what we'll ride for the fifth fight of the night. Moving up to the sixth fight, another one that shocked me completely. That Castaneda and Gafurov. Gafurov, if I'm saying that correctly, as an underdog for never being finished, only losing by decisions. Again, 17 finishes in his fights. I mean, yes, Castaneda has 14, so that is something to look at. But I do think if you look at Castaneda, and I wasn't going to go into all this, I was trying to make it quick today, but I do want to point out some things. If you look at when he's been knocked out, right, last fight, and then, 5 fights ago. So both, oh, sorry. He was not knocked out then. He lost by decision. Okay, so just last fight. Whereas this guy loses a split decision. I just think that there's value for his money line here. So plus 110 full unit money line, and then I would sprinkle a quarter unit on Gafurov to knock out Castaneda. So that would be, kind of doubling up here a little bit. You can win this, but not this. You could win both. If you win this, you win this. You lose both. So again, I've skipped 2 on here, so I thought with some confidence, let's put a quarter unit and a quarter on this, and we'll see what happens. Last fight on the prelim is Nurmagomedov, not the Nurmagomedov, and Zaleski. I skipped this one. I could not find an angle. I didn't even have a lean, to be honest. I think this is a pretty even fight, and so I'm not going to force a square peg into the old round hole. So we'll skip that one. We'll go to the main card. We have on the first fight of the main card. I don't know why it was being cooperative until now. Whatever, I'll just show up 2. Okay. We'll start with a bang. We'll start the main card with an absolute bang. Jamie Malarkey was supposed to fight, I can't even remember, somebody else. And then 5 days ago, the other guy's visa didn't get approved, and so he's not able to make it into the States to fight. So this guy steps in, Navmov, and 28-year-old who loses 2 decisions in a contender series, Titan FC, 2 years ago, and then has finish, both in round 1. I mean, it appeared, look back here too as well. Knockout round 1, ref stoppage round 2, knockout round 1, finish round 2. I'm putting a quarter unit on this because I'm being cautious. But I do think this as a value bet, a guy who is aggressive on the stand-up, fighting Jamie Malarkey, who has been finished 3 times by knockout, once by Jalen Turner. And maybe it's not as interesting because it's 7 years ago before, you see his other finish, but hasn't fought a ton recently, taken some fights to decisions. I don't know. The other bizarre thing about this is if we go to Odds Jam here and take a look at the line, if we can find it, see, because this, okay, so when it's listed here, there's not even lines. You click on it. PointsBet is the only thing that has it on Odds Jam. I had to go into DraftKings to actually find the line. DraftKings has it at 370. FanDuel didn't have the fight listed. So part of me wonders if they just don't know how to price it right now, and you see this get closer to 250 towards the fight. I'm making an educated guess. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but I think if you can get this at 370, I don't know if I'd play it down past 330, 340, but I think at 370, it's a spot, right? To keep in mind. So we'll go with that, and we'll move to Ketlin Souza and Karine Silva. Silva by decision at 290, I think is a bit of a steal. The books think she's going to finish her, right? If you look at her odds across the board, Silva's a pretty big favorite, like minus 220, and her by submission line's like plus 150, plus 160. So books are expecting her to finish her by submission, and I believe her last 4 fights she has finished by submission. So if we go to Silva here, she's just biceps for days, right? Submission, 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 submission. I think Souza can handle the grappling. Now, handle as in not dominate and get points, but handle as in not get submitted, especially coming in knowing that she has been on a submission tear. So that leads me to think that if Silva is the better grappler, but Sousa can at least defend, Silva decision at 290 has value. So we're going to go a half unit on that. I wanted so badly on this next. Okay, Tim Elliott versus Victor Altamirano. I wanted to take Altamirano so badly, just so incredibly badly, by submission, right? You see, when I see this, it catches my eye, but Tim Elliott hasn't been submitted since like 2016. So, and he's fought some good grapplers since then. So, maybe he's cleaned up his ground game. I'm skipping this fight. I think it'll be a good fight to watch, but I don't have an angle on it, so we're not playing it. 3 fights to go. I'm going to argue that while I do think Santos and Munoz is maybe the best bet on the card, this one is so interesting to me. Jim Miller is old. He's seasoned. He's a vet. He's been in the game. Jared Gordon is made of paper mache, I think. He had Bobby Green's fight a month ago, 2 months ago, accidental clash of heads, and the fight's just a no contest. It's done. He comes into this fight, I guess he's okay. Like, he's got to be okay even after that. But Jim Miller is not going to fight a fight if he's not ready. You know what I mean? Like, do I think he retires after this? I don't know. Maybe. Do you want to retire on a win? Yes. Can he beat Jared Gordon? Yes. And so I think Jim Miller at plus money and plus 158 is a good value spot. I'd go a full unit on that. I feel good about that bet. Alex Caceres, sorry, don't know how to say that, versus Daniel Pineda. Super bizarre. Pineda is the underdog in this fight, and I know that I am not as smart as the books, as sharps, as whale money, if you will. But looking at this guy, he's been knocked out, but he submitted, wins by knockout, submitted, wins by knockout in the last 5 years. So one loss to Cub Swanson in the last 5 years, and he gets Alex, who loses a grappling bout, beats Julian Erosa, loses by decision last March, wins by submission, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe he is a respectable enough grappler that he can hang, and that's why these odds are so good. I just think that for a guy who has one path to victory, and I think, although he does have... what are his to win by finish odds? Because I may be making a switcheroo right here. Double chance. Let's do this. Let's take this, his sub, and go quarter unit. And then let's go with Pineda. Finish. Double chance at plus 240. Okay, so we're taking knockout or submission. So him just to win by finish at plus 240. So instead of doing a full unit on his sub, we'll go with a quarter unit and a half unit. So we're going to knock it down a quarter unit. We're only going to do 0.75 units. If he subs, we double up. And if he knocks him out, we're still insured. I think that's a smarter way to play it. So diversifies a little bit. So that's what I'm going with. Um, and we'll see on Saturday. But I just think this, I think it's a good spot. Finally, the main event. We got Kai Kara France and Amir Albazi, and I don't know how Albazi's even odds. I think this is going to go to 120, maybe even 130 by the time of the fight. He's fought, stiff competition. Yes, Kai Kara France is a veteran, and maybe it's the name, but I just don't know if Kara France will be, you know, if you look at who he's lost to, Moreno, and Royval, right? Great guys in that division, top contenders in that division. Um, is he holding the belt right now? Who's holding the belt right now in this division? Let's actually look. Flyweight rankings. Yeah. Okay, so he's holding the belt. Figueroa, Kai Kara France, Royval, right? Amir Albazi. I think this is Albazi's time. I think Albazi is going to jump up, and he's going to maybe have to prove himself one more time versus Royval, Pantoja, Figueroa, wants somebody before he can face Moreno. But I think he's had his time. Albazi is on his way, and you gotta beat Cara France if you want a shot at the title. And I think this is something he does. So I'm taking Albazi money line full unit. Simple, but I do think it's the play. So that is the full card. We'll go ahead and zoom this out a tattly-wink bit. Um, let you guys do with this what you will. Okay, as always, you can screenshot this. You use it for your own bets if you'd like. You don't have to tell mine. But thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you for watching. We'll keep keeping track of our record. Again, we're down 2 units over 4 weeks, but we're having a good time. We're having a good time, aren't we? Yeah, we're having a good time. So take care, and we will catch you guys next week for, I believe, Amanda Nunes. UFC 270 something or other, okay? 280 something next week. Pay per view. All right. So we'll see you then.